Welcome to your full moon in Cancer intuitive read. I happen to love the energy of Cancer, and all of my Cancer friends, I call them my water babies because they are just the sweetest. They're so kind and nurturing, and they care so much about the people in their lives. They're so family oriented, and their friends become their family. And that energy, that element of water, the nurturing, the life-giving aspects of water really do show up in these beings. And this is the kind of energy that I feel we're tapping into during this full moon, the last full moon of 2020. I've said that so many times throughout this full moon kit, and I will say it again because it is a potent one. It is one that kind of wraps together everything that we've experienced throughout this entire year. It brings it all to a culmination, a peak in the moon cycle. And in this culmination, we are graced by the energy of nurturing ourselves so that we can nurture the community. As we step across the threshold into 2021, there's a lot that we're going to be stepping into. 2020 was just a preview. And in a lot of ways, for some people, that might be scary. And for some people, that might be incredibly exciting. I hope that you're erring on the side of being excited about the year to come, because I do believe that there's going to be a lot of potent, powerful energy, a lot more opportunities for us to receive the lessons we need to grow, and a lot more opportunities for us to show up for and nurture and support our communities. Probably more than we've ever had to do in the past. So having Cancer be the energy of this last full moon is incredibly potent. Something else I learned about this full moon is that it's actually sitting on the edge, the very bottom edge of Gemini. And as I was preparing for this full moon toolkit, I actually thought at first that I was preparing to do a Gemini full moon toolkit. And I realized that no, it's actually in Cancer. But that piece of information was so powerful to me because Gemini governs communication and knowledge, and our ability to absorb information, digest information, and reiterate that information to whoever is willing to listen. Now, if you pair that energy with Cancer, then it's about absorbing and digesting information and on an emotional level so that you're able to share what you need to share with the people in your life who need to receive it from you, who need your nurturing, who look to you for that support, that feminine mothering energy to tell them where to go, to tell them how to deal with their own emotions. But how can we speak that to someone else if we're not able to do it in ourselves? And that's where the growth points of this full moon really come in. So you may notice that maybe you've been giving a lot of your energy away. Maybe you have a lot of friendships in your life where you feel like you offer so much support, you're always there, and you don't feel like you're ever getting that amount of support back. This is something that the light of this full moon will shed some luminescence upon. And so you'll start to see those things. You'll start to feel that energy of, where in your life have you just been giving and giving and giving? And where do you feel like it's kind of been sucking you dry? And it's so important to look at these places because Cancer doesn't ask you not to show up for your community. In fact, it asks you the exact opposite, and sometimes to a fault. Sometimes when we're in that Cancerian energy, we start to think that we need to give and give and give until the very last drop of our cup runs dry, and then we're left with nothing to give to ourselves. So during this full moon, I ask you to drop in and see, where am I giving so much of my energy away, and where do I need to call it back? Where do I need to start showing up for and nurturing myself guilt-free? You might feel that there's not enough time to show up for yourself, that there's not enough time to be present in the ways you need to be present to nurture yourself, because you have so much that you need to do for others, and so much that you need to give to others. And while that makes you an incredibly beautiful human being, and I salute you for the support that you give to the people in your lives, it's not sustainable. And you need to find ways to rest. You need to find ways to nurture yourself. You need to find ways to show up for yourself. You need to find ways to speak your truth without fear that you're going to disappoint the ones you care for and love the most. And the reason that this is so important is because one aspect of living in that Cancerian energy of giving and giving is that one day you wake up in a place of resentment, feeling like I missed out on opportunities that were going to nurture me because I was so busy giving to my family or giving to my friends or giving to my community. And at a certain point, you kind of let yourself fall to the wayside. So in today's intuitive reading, I'm going to be drawing from two different decks. One is the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell, and the other is the Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Sterle. And I chose these two because when it comes to the Work Your Light Oracle deck, this deck is one of my favorite for going and seeing, what are the things I haven't been looking at. It literally allows you to shine some light. Sometimes it will ask questions. Sometimes it will just give you something blatant that you need to hear, and I love it. And the Modern Witch Tarot deck is one that I've personally been working with a lot in my life. I just received it in November, and it has been one of my favorite decks. So to see these decks, you can look them up online. It's the Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Sterle. It's also the Work Your Light Oracle cards by Rebecca Campbell, and I will make sure to put those links below this recording in the Full Moon Toolkit as well. So if you're listening to this and you're not, you might be receiving the Full Moon Toolkit early, and I will have the links in the email if you would like to receive your Full Moon and New Moon Toolkits early and you do not already, then please sign up for my mailing list, because I do send those kits out at least a week in advance, and you will be able to have these tools before the full moon or before the new moon so that you're fully prepared for your self-care and ritual on the new moon or the full moon, and you have everything you need to thrive. So I will make sure to put the links to these decks, and particularly this is an audible experience. Typically I do videos so you get to see the cards, but it was really important to me to bring you your Full Moon in Cancer toolkit in an audible way. One is because I have been myself absorbing a lot of audio recently. I've just joined the Clubhouse app, and it's all audio, and it's a really beautiful experience that I realized, you get to sit back, you get to close your eyes, and in the spirit of Cancerian energy, you get to open your third eye. You get to see deeper into the messages that you're receiving. You get to pay attention to how your body is communicating to you as you receive this information into your body. And it's such a powerful way to absorb things and add them to your ritual. So maybe you are listening to this oracle reading as you sit beneath the full moon sipping tea. If you're listening to it earlier, maybe you're taking a nurturing bath. Maybe you're laying in bed with some of your softest blankets and you just pulled your clothes out of the dryer and you're just enveloped in your favorite hoodie and it's nice and warm. I don't know, just any way that you can nurture yourself while you're listening to this reading is going to be incredibly potent and powerful, because that is what this full moon is calling you to do. It's calling you to hold yourself in your own arms. A lot of us spent this holiday season alone because of COVID, and a lot of us went through a pretty rough time because of that, because maybe you're used to being with your family. Maybe you're used to being with someone, and maybe you're not. Maybe this time of year is just challenging for you always because you're typically alone and getting the messages that you need to be with family, need to be with friends. And, in that Cancerian energy, it can be really hard to receive that message if you don't have access to that. So I want to be very aware of you out there who might be in that experience as well, and just let you know that you can embrace and harness the energy of this full moon and bring in the nurturing that you need. This full moon is that mother in the sky that is here to hold you and rock you to sleep. So let it. And as we go to the oracle and the tarot, the questions that I'm going to bring to mind are, how can I open to fully receiving nourishing energy? And how can I open to the process of digesting emotional blocks that keep me from receiving the nourishment I need? So I'll say that again. How can I open to receiving nourishing energy? And how can I open to fully digesting the emotional blocks that keep me from receiving the nourishment I need? Now, bear with me here. I'm going to just shuffle the cards and then I will let you know what comes up. All right, so we've got one card from the Work Your Light Oracle deck, and it is Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. And this card is so incredibly fitting. There is actually a picture of these three women who are ascending into the full moon. So just so perfect. And talking about being unbound, this one is about cutting cords. And when it comes to Cancer and the energy of cords and emotional ties, they typically end up being attached to the people in our family. They're attached to the people that we love. It's really about who are you attached to in your life, and how are you either funneling your energy through that emotional attachment, that energetic attachment, or how are you, in the sense of funneling. And when I say that, I mean, like, how are you maybe not really consensually funneling your energy through those emotional attachments? Or how are you allowing those attachments to keep you from moving forward, to keep you stuck in old patterns, to keep you stuck in old contracts that you made, where maybe you're in a relationship where you decided, okay, my role in this relationship is to support you, to give you emotional support whenever you need it, because that is how I can be valuable to you. But one day you wake up and you realize, I have not been emotionally supporting myself. I have not been showing up for myself in the ways that I need to. I have been compromising my boundaries for this person in the name of love, in the name of nurturing, in the name of showing up. But I'm at a point right now where it has allowed me, or not allowed me, I should say, to move forward. It has kept me stuck in certain soul patterns. This can even be looking into past lives. Maybe you do work with looking into your past life energy, and if you're not sure what energy was represented in your past life, you can look to your birth chart, look to your south node. But maybe You are holding on to some energetics from a past life that it's time to let go of. And once you do, once you make the agreement, set the intention, speak the affirmation that you're willing to let go of and release these blocks, you'll be able to ascend like the women in this card, the people in this card, and, you know, cross that threshold into the next chapter. So, what are you looking to hold? What are you holding on to, I should say? What are you holding now that you need to release? What patterns are you ready to release? What contracts are you ready to end? What past life energies are you ready to release? And what energetic cords and binds do you need to release as you move into 2021? So I'll go ahead and pull the a card or see what comes from the Modern Witch Tarot deck here. All right. Let's see. I've got 2 cards. I'm just going to shuffle a little bit more just to see if there's anything else that comes up to further help us with the question of how do we release the energetic blocks that keep us from receiving the nourishment we need? How do we open ourselves to receiving nourishment that will help us to thrive, that will help us to move forward and fill our cups so that we can in turn fill the cups of others from a healthy place? All right, so the cards that came up here were the 6 of Swords, the Ace of Cups, and the Ace of Wands. Now, the first one that came up was the Ace of Cups, and I love this card. Once again, a very Cancerian energy card as it represents a cup with water overflowing. So the ability to give emotionally, to really nurture yourself. It comes back to that message of filling your cup to the point where you have enough that you can give to others. So, allowing yourself to just be in a space of deep receiving. And I'll go ahead and read the definition of this card because I really do like the way that Lisa Sterle explains the tarot. And so, Ace of Cups is something beautiful and full of love has just begun, and your cup is so full it spills out into a pool below. You feel yourself filled with radiant positivity, happiness, and joy. Be receptive. You've been blessed with life-giving love, so welcome all your new endeavors. And I couldn't think of a more potent and powerful message for this full moon, because a lot of us have been receiving these beautiful downloads around what we are birthing into the world as we move into the new year. And Cancer represents reproductivity and birth and creativity and that female energy, the female aspect of birthing. And so this card really speaks to the fact that you might be bursting with the energy of creating something new, right? And that thing that you're creating may be something that nurtures the world in ways you have no idea it will yet, but it's important that you put it out there. And when we're stuck in a place of emotional blocks, it can be really hard to allow ourselves to do the work we need to do so that we can share what we need to share with the world and birth our gifts into the world. And so really looking at, how do you fill your cup? What does that even mean? You may hear that all the time, but what does it mean? So to me, it means sitting with yourself and what comes up emotionally for you and not pushing it away. So if you're having a day where you woke up intending to do a bunch of work and get a bunch done, but you realize that your energy is really stagnant, that you feel really stuck, that you're feeling tired, a little bit demotivated, and you just need to rest, you just need to maybe pop on some Netflix, maybe eat something nourishing, give yourself permission to do that. Do it guilt-free, because oftentimes, if you're being called to do it, you need it. And if you allow yourself to embrace that energy, release your blocks to it, receive the nourishment, then that's something that will help you to actually do better at whatever work it was that you were going to do. If you don't have the time to really just like drop deep into nourishment, because some of us are on a certain schedule, we have families we have to tend to, it's not just us in our lives, sometimes we work for other people. If you have restrictions towards receiving that nourishment, see how you can fit it in. See if there's a way that you can, make time for it. And that actually brings us to the Six of Swords, the card that came out next. So if you're familiar with the tarot, this is the card where you see someone, you see a mother and a child. So once again, that Cancerian energy comes up. They're in a boat on the water. There's six swords in that boat, and there is someone who is steering that boat to another location. And the definition of this card is that you're going to need to make a difficult choice, one that might feel painful and almost impossible. However, you know deep down that this is the best path forward. It's definitely going to be rough waters for a while, and your emotions may fight you, but logic tells you this is what you need to do. So it goes right back to what I was saying about if you feel like you need to rest, but your mind is taking you on a guilt trip around that need to nurture yourself, to rest, to take time for yourself, then it may really be the decision you need to make. And you're going to have to kind of stand up to those, that subconscious. And this is where the unbound one actually comes in, because we talk about releasing soul patterns, contracts, past life energy. And a lot of times those binds that we have are the voices that come up when we start to fight ourselves against what it is that we really need that's going to nurture us. And so this is where you need to make the tough decision of saying, you know what, this is a pattern that I am ready to break. I always show up for everyone else in my life. I always tell myself that rest can wait. I'm always guilting myself about the rest that I need and the nourishment that I need in my life. And you know what? I'm going to make the hard choice right now. And instead of taking myself on a guilt trip, I'm going to give myself what I need, knowing that I can trust myself to show up and to thrive. And so this takes us to our last card, which is the Ace of Wands. And the definition in the book is high above a desert landscape, baking in the sun and heat, your wand burns with passion. A fire has been lit within you, and there's no putting it out. Allow this burning drive within you to push you forward into new things. Harness that creativity. It's time to go. Start this wild journey. I love that definition. That's why I read these to you today, because they're just all so juicy. And this one, and this card, it actually shows a hand holding that wand up into the sunlight, up into the air, and there's a river flowing beneath it. So that water element is present in all of these cards, and that Cancerian aspect is present in all of these cards. And so it's really saying that once you do the hard work of going against your patterns, of allowing yourself to rest and receive the nourishment you need, then you're going to be ready to rock. You're going to be ready to take those dreams, those ambitions, those goals, and really put them into action. Transform that energy into something potent and tangible and the gift that you're ready to give to the world. But you've got to make the hard choices first. You've got to say, okay, I'm ready to cut myself off from my old patterns so that I can create new ones. Say that if you need the rest, you're going to take the time to rest. It might even be the opposite, because sometimes Cancers rest a little bit too much, right? And that watery energy can get us a little bit bogged down. So the hard decision that you're making might be that you need to say no to the Netflix and chill. You might need to say no to that extra bowl of ice cream because you know that it's going to make you sluggish, or say no to that extra time you're going to spend scrolling on TikTok or Instagram because you know that it's going to keep you up late at night, keeping you away from the sleep you need to nourish your body. all of these things. And, digestion, Cancer governs digestion and the stomach. And so that's another thing. Maybe you need to start looking at, all right, like with the Six of Swords, I'm going to cut off my sweet addiction. I'm going to cut off my addiction to numbing with food. And it's going to be really, really hard, but I'm going to do it because I know that it's going to allow me to take all of these amazing ideas I have about the things I want to birth into the world, and I'm going to be able to run with the Ace of Wands and actually bring that into reality, actually birth that energy, bring it out of the ethereal realm and into this physical world. So it's such a beautiful time to work with this energy, this potent energy of the full moon. Harness that light, bring it into you. Shine light upon the spaces where you've been holding down and suppressing emotion, and see how you can clear it. Go ahead and look at the ways in which you want to change the world. Look at what you want to birth into the world. Write it down. Let this beautiful full moon be your mirror so that you can see the spaces where you're ready to grow and the spaces where it's time to release. Now, part of this full moon toolkit, I have included a special yoga nidra practice. This is also an audible experience you can listen to that will help you to clear emotional blocks so that you can fully digest those emotional experiences and make space to expand into your optimal being. I've also included a meditation that will help you somatically explore your body and see where you're holding on to things that it's time to let go of. Things that will help you to allow your emotions to flow through you freely so that you can get in that space of, all right, I feel nourished, I feel cleansed, I feel clear, and I feel ready to create something that will help me to bring nourishment to the whole. So if you haven't already, go to www.lifebythemoon.com. I'm sorry, lifebythemoonyoga.com and get your full moon toolkit. It will be out on the full moon. If you sign up for my mailing list, you'll get full moon and new moon toolkits about a week before that toolkit comes out on my website. So you get to have access to it early. And I invite you to really just enjoy this last full moon of 2020. If you've made it here, you have done a hell of a job of showing up to the hard stuff. And I just want you to know that I believe in you. And I'm so happy to create these offerings that support and nourish you, because you are such an important piece of the whole. And if you ever forget that, just remember, even if it looks and feels like you are alone at this time, you're not. And just you existing is something that I know to me is very potent and important. And so I thank you for just being here. And happy full moon.